In Kenya, for the past decades, ranchers in arid northern part of the country have been searching the sky for any sign of rain to guide their herds towards pastures. From now on, through SMS also, weather forecasts happen to help. Theresa May could unfortunately not achieve her goal to get the United Kingdom out of the European Union. This morning, the UK Prime Minister announced that she will resign from the head of the Conservative Party on the 7th of June. Previously announced in Libreville, Gabon, Taylor Mabeka's fight will finally take place in Amiens in France. The Gabonese WBC Francophone champion, who will defend his title, will have to challenge the French boxer Hervé Lofidi in the light heavy category on the 15th of June. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. In Kenya, in order to guide their flocks toward pastures, herders in the arid regions of the north of the country were accustomed to staring at the sky in search of any sign of rain. But in recent years, their science of sky observation has not been of much help. These were years of more frequent and intense droughts. Clan members were forced to walk for days with their cattle, encountering only dry rivers and cracked earth.
People used to depend on indigenous knowledge from experts within the communities, and then maybe the meteorological departments and radio stations. But apparently, my anger, I can reach it through my phone. You cannot reach everywhere because of the network. But with the SMS, sometimes, even if you have a weak network, you can easily get SMS and it will guide you. An SMS, I usually get it weekly, every Monday. So, and this will guide me and to let me, I can even tell some of the pastoralists that today, the weather, the moisture is not that good. Even the texture of the pasture, you can easily tell.
Today, an SMS service allows them to check out the weather forecast of an American company of agricultural intelligence. Recipients receive information on very basic and inexpensive mobile phones on the Kenyan market, especially when they are purchased second-hand. Kaltuma Hassan, another user of My Anga, said she wouldn't lose so much livestock if she used this app last year because they lost a lot of them. When they moved their stock to Mount Kulal, most of them died on the way because there was no pasture upon their arrival. On the way back, they lost even more cattle. According to the World Bank, Kenya is hit by drought every 3 to 5 years, but these episodes are getting closer and more acute. And the long rainy season from March to June in order to water the vast northern half of the country and neighboring countries like Somalia or Ethiopia is likely to be very insufficient this year. In Britain, the scenario repeats itself as on the 22nd of November 1990 with Margaret Thatcher. Theresa May, the second woman to have ruled the United Kingdom, just resigned. She will leave the head of the Conservative Party on the 7th of June. The reason is the Brexit failure. Her main objective apparently dealt with her political career. The very soon former Prime Minister could not get Great Britain out of the European Union, leaving behind her a United Kingdom in deadlock. I did what I could. It is the country's interest to choose a new Prime Minister, she said.
But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort. So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen.
One of the mistakes the Prime Minister made was not reaching out early to Labour Party, her opponents, in order to form a majority. Several candidates are already scrambling among bookmakers, including Boris Johnson, who wants his country to leave the European Union without any agreement. This rebound is taking place in the United Kingdom in the middle of the European elections, which are already looking catastrophic for the Conservative Party. Under pressure for months and without authorities, Theresa May had then promised to leave once her bill on Brexit is passed in Parliament. But her attempt to change the legislation by giving pledges to Labour opposition party provoked a violent rebellion this week. And many of her ministers who hitherto endeavoured to remain loyal ended up abandoning her one after the other. Students and environmental activists demonstrate in New Delhi to call on newly re-elected Prime Minister Narendra Modi to further combat pollution in India, responsible for nearly 1 million people killed in the country in 2017.
We go outside to get fresh air, but right now we are not getting fresh air. We always suffer from we get smog everywhere.
India is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, behind China and the United States, but its emissions compared to the number of its inhabitants are still much lower, 2 tons of carbon dioxide per capita and per year, against 8 tons for China. A situation that worries environmental activists and students who suffer a lot from this state of affairs.
We are here to fight for our right to breathe clean air.
Lunar landscapes, open-air mines like so many gaping wounds, mountains of slag exhaling a corrupt air. These are images that spontaneously come to mind when one mentions pollution in India. Here, the anthrax has still not cooled down. It is true that this highly polluting fossil energy accounts for 60% of the country's electricity production.
We have the climate crisis, and this is scientists say that we have only 12 years left before the damage is irreversible.
This could lead to migration of some 37 million people from coastal areas into the interior of the country by 2050. Modi is aware of this. When we think of the future generations and the world we are going to leave to them, there is an urgency, he says. Global warming is putting enormous pressure on us. Since early April, fighting has raged in several densely populated neighborhoods in the southern suburbs of the Libyan capital, where forces loyal to the National Unity Government, recognized by the international community, are fiercely resisting the assault of Marshal Khalifa Haftar's troops, leading to the closure of several schools in the capital Tripoli and the displacement of learners. To help students displaced by the fighting, extra classes have been created by some teachers in areas not yet affected by the fighting. The creation of additional schools in the Libyan suburbs spared by the fighting is an initiative much appreciated by everyone here. Displaced by violence, Maya Mustafa in her senior class also appreciates the initiative of additional classes, especially since this school year is decisive for her. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, the 2018 and 2019 school year in Libya was suspended in areas affected by the fighting, directly affecting the education of some 122,088 children. In a country plagued by years of conflict due to power struggles and lawmaking militias. Unlike Congolese junior Ilunga, Makubu announced as Taylor Mabika's challenger to defend his WBC Francophone title. It is finally the French Hervé Lofidi who will face the Gabonese boxer in the heavyweight category on the 15th of June in Amiens in France. Because the conditions required by the International Boxing Federation were not met in time, the Gabonese champion will not be able to defend his title at home and will therefore not benefit from his local supporters. He will have to fight far from his homeland, precisely in Amiens in France, a city which his challenger is acquainted to, for he was born in Évreux on the 19th of August 1988. Hervé Lofidi, the French lightweight champion, has 14 professional fights with 11 wins by KO and 3 defeats. Ranked 94th, unlike Taylor, 59th, the French boxer won't be an expiatory victim and could undoubtedly cause some trouble to a Taylor Mabika who needs a breath of oxygen after his defeat on Congolese soil some time ago. In Kenya, for the past decades, ranchers in arid northern part of the country have been searching the sky for any sign of rain to guide their herds towards pastures. From now on, through SMS also, weather forecasts happen to help. Theresa May could unfortunately not achieve her goal to get the United Kingdom out of the European Union. This morning, the UK Prime Minister announced that she will resign from the head of the Conservative Party on the 7th of June. Previously announced in Libreville, Gabon, Taylor Mabeka's fight will finally take place in Amiens in France. The Gabonese WBC Francophone champion, who will defend his title, will have to challenge the French boxer Hervé Lofidi in the light heavy category on the 15th of June. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.